The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft. Everyone fears something. Fear is built into us, and if you are really lucky, it will not consume you. There is a niggle at the back of your brain, reminding you not to hang your legs off the bed, not to look behind you as you run up the stairs at night after turning off the light. When passing a mirror, you hope that it was only your reflection you could see. That inch of movement you think you've seen from the corner of your eye. That blood-run cold feeling you get for no reason. That is fear. Welcome to a look into the unknown, where fear is always on the cards. Welcome to Paranormal Patter.
Good evening, paranormal jibbers and paranormal jabbers. How goes? It's great to be back here, and yes, you'll probably notice J-Mac ain't here this week.
We've killed him.
Reason for it. Yep, he did. So he is with us, but he's with us in spirits. In fact, we have, before we kick the show off, we have a video message here from J-Mac for you all. So without further ado,
all right, fellas. Sorry I can't make it tonight. As you can see, I'm having an absolutely mental one here in Lanzarote. Just can't get enough of the partying. So have a good show with it, mate. I know it'll be hard because I'm just gunning levels of class. But I will actually let you know there has been some strange goings on in the city of, where are we? Playa Blanca. This weird thing seems to happen to people when they come here, where they don't know how queues work and they just toddle in front. I don't know if it's a paranormal thing or if folk are just idiots, but we'll find out. I'll keep track of it for the rest of my holiday, and I'll check in with the next one. But have a nice one, and I'll be commenting all the way through your show anyway, won't I? That's where you're supposed to respond.
Oh, sorry.
This is why she's not in show business. Have a good one.
he is gunning levels of class.
Oh, he is. He is.
Mate, I was totally expecting a fart there. Funny wee story, actually, right? So the guy that designs this show art, right, Craig Matthewman, you can find a lot of his stuff out there on Redbubble, right? But that's him, right? So Matthewman and I have met in real life, because I've kind of met up with him a few times. J-Mac had never ever met him, right? Never ever met him. Only ever spoke on this show, conversations, messages, emails, and this stuff. He goes away to Lanzarote. He texts me. He goes, "Kev, I think I've just seen Matthewman," right? And I'm like, "What?" No. Matthewman is also on holiday right now. Ta-ta-ta! Matthewman and J-Mac on the same holiday. What's the chances in that? Look at this. Look at this. Right? Never met in this country. They both so happened to go to Lanzarote at the same time without even knowing and bump into each other. And that's not amazing?
That's an unlikely occurrence. I like
that.
It.
Is serendipitous. Eh? Janice Marie Faust says, "Hey guys, Janice, it
is
a pleasure to have you back in with us.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure for us to be back."
Absolutely.
And J-Mac says, he says hi, by the way. Forgot to put it in the video. He will batter me. Oh yeah,
Matthewman. I'm assuming he's talking about Matthewman.
Nice. So tonight we're going to chat a little bit about spooky stories. Everybody knows someone, or everybody's been around someone, or just heard or read crazy stories, and some of them stick with you, and you're like, don't know if that's real. And some of them are, because they're from personal experience. Ray Faust says hello. Hello, Ray. I hope you and Janice are sitting with a nice cup of cocoa and you're comfortable for this evening's entertainment. Kieran, How are you, my friend? In fact, and tell the story. You've been doing some audio for Jibber Jabber, and you had a bit of an experience today. Please, the floor is yours.
I did. So what I've decided to kind of take on board is narration of stories throughout Scotland, like ones that aren't necessarily, they've not got enough meat on the bones to fulfill an entire episode per item. So I've decided I'm just going to do snippets of these stories and the general gist and dish it out. So I had a little bit of free time today. Michaela was at work, so I was like, okay, I've got some quiet time. I'll do some recording. And I was halfway through recording something, and I was entirely on my own. There was nobody else around. There's a guy that lives above us, but he was actually away out. And of course, I'm recording, so I've got all the doors shut, everything quiet, whatever. And there was an obscenely loud bang in the room where I am. I've not told Michaela this, so she's listening. She's going to kill me. But like, and I don't mean like something falls. It's like a wee click or whatever. Like, no, it was like an actual like a proper bang. And luckily, I was recording at the same time, and it's all on tape. It's
If only
quiet,
we had it.
and if only, Kev. If only.
Well.
It's quiet, but it's definitely there.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear it. I'm going to play it now. Let's inspect.
Yep. So what happens is I finish off a sentence, and right after it, there is a crack. Essentially, is the noise I'm putting it down to.
Okay, here we go.
The Superintendent of Commissioners of Northern Lights.
Now, that's not, like, as you can tell, that's not right in front of the microphone. So therefore, it can't be me. If it was me, you would hear it. I'm sat dead still, as you are when you're recording. You're like, microphone, and you sit and you don't move, and the only thing you adjust is your breathing, and that's it. And I swear, I damn near shat myself.
I'm going to play it again for everyone at home. Here we go.
Superintendent of Commissioners of Northern Lights.
And it is like a proper like hit. And I'm so actually this is a good spot actually. So it sits. I'm sat just behind where I am now, facing this direction, and it was against that wall. And it was and there's nothing out on the outside of that wall. There's nothing there. So the outside of that wall is just an empty path, and the only way to get past it is that path in front of me. So yeah, it was.
I can still hear them. Or are you clicking a pen, or is that a ghost?
Oh no, that's me. Sadly, that one is me. I don't have a pen when I'm recording, so that is. I've realised it's bad timing, but yes, no, that was. That happened today while I was in the middle of recording, and I'm not going to lie, I had to obviously edit the audio, trim it to send it to you, but I did say.
Well, Michaela says, "Well,
I don't told you that story.
We're moving." Jibber Jabber Podcast writes in. Wait a minute.
Oh, how is that possible?
No.
How is
so
that
this will be
possible?
J-Mac. He says, check outside and see if there's a pigeon with a broken neck outside your kitchen window.
Well, the thing is, I did that. I went and checked. I took a wee rummage around the house, checked the bathroom, checked all adjacent walls to this, but it was here. It was in this vicinity. It was behind where I was sat. And there was, and there was no other noise, no nothing. And it took me off guard. I'm not gonna lie.
Sometimes I find in my house the creepiest of noises, and it's usually folk walking. And I'm like, that's definitely my stairs. Look over at the wife, and I'm like, eh. And she's like,
you're not moving now.
I'm like, it's definitely. I've got a wee story here, so a wee short one, right? And I found it to be very good. So, an elderly man living alone in Scotland wanted to plant his annual tomato garden, but it was very difficult to work since the ground wasn't hard. It was hard, sorry. His only son, Paul, who used to help him, was in prison. Strange ways, Manchester. The old man wrote a letter to his son and described his predicament. Dear Paul, I am feeling very sad because it looks like I won't be able to plant my tomato garden this year. I am just getting too old to be digging up the garden plot. I know if you were here, my troubles would be over. I know you would be happy to dig the plot for me. Like in the old days. Love, Dad. A few days later, he received a letter from his son. Dear Dad, don't dig up that garden. That's where the bodies are buried. Love, Paul. At 4 a.m. the next morning, CID officers and local police arrived and dug up the entire area without finding any bodies. They apologized to the old man and left. The same day, the old man received another letter from his son. Dear Dad, go ahead and plant the tomatoes now. That's the best I could do under the circumstances.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Sorry, I had to get that one out of the way because it wasn't that scary, but I thought it was class. It
Oh,
was too
that's
good.
good.
To
I like
not.
that. A wee twist. I like a wee twist. I
There's Heather saying,
What
ha
was
ha
that?
ha ha ha. Heard that before. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, Heather. I can imagine, man. Can imagine.
I like that. That was good.
I know. We've got another story here I'll read as well before we get on to your. I feel like yours are going to be more fleshed out than mine.
I wouldn't bet on it.
I don't know, but there's one here that I've got from Alistair Neal, the UK Predator. He wrote to us on social media and he said, when my son was a baby in his cot, we used to go in his room and he would be standing looking up at the wall, smiling, reaching out sometimes saying, man with a hand. I'm thinking Vecna. It was a regular occurrence. Then, when he was 3 years old, we were looking through old photos and out of nowhere pointed to a photo of my dad. He said, man with a hand. My dad died when my son was a few months old and didn't get to see him. But always when we were kids, my dad used to always put his hand on our head as a gesture. It was his thing. He did all the time. Mate, that's amazing.
Nice. I like
That's
stuff like that.
amazing. See, I've heard a lot of stories like that, right? That man with the hand and then pointing them out. Mate, that's a short story.
That is. I like stuff like
That's
that. There's always
That's phenomenal.
There does seem to be a lot of, especially stories that have like grandparents that die early in the kid's life. The kids will come back and visit, and obviously the kids are like, "Oh, look at this." But I like stuff like that.
Jibber jabber. That was Jay. Nothing like naming a prison like you want a Netflix show made about it. Janice says, "I love that one, but when I heard it, it was told it was potatoes." Maybe clarify he dresses as the predator. Easy to misconstrue the word predator. Every time. Alistair Neal is a predator in the sense that he dresses up as the Predator from the movie Predator, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme at one point. But yeah, he's not an actual, chap. Well, here for your protection, we've got a duty of care. None of that shit. That's a brilliant story.
What a nice cream.
Oh, some jelly beans. If you have any stories that you'd like to write in and tell us about, you can find us on all social media platforms. It's easy. It's just Jibber Jabber Podcast everywhere. You can go to jibberjabberpodcast.com. We have an email address, which jibberjabberscotland@gmail.com. Write in, tell us your scary happenings, and we'll be sure to read them out here on the Paranormal Patter.
Absolutely.
Before we'll kind of hit it back and forth here with some stories.
Yeah, man.
Are there any personal stories actually that you have that are like, oh?
Other than the ones I've kind of spoke about before, I mean, there's always the one of the women in the hotel that I worked in that kind of freaked me out a wee bit. Not necessarily freaked me out, but just again took you off guard. I've had some that I can't necessarily explain. Here's a good one actually. I was living at my dad's house, and my dad's house was this is before I moved out a long time ago because I'm an old man now, and my dad's house was always a bit odd at times. Like they'd have so in the kitchen, behind the kitchen, there was there'd be kind of utility room, and guaranteed at least once or twice a week, things would come flying off that counter and hit the wall or the ground. It was just something that happened. So my bedroom was downstairs, and I was the only person that slept on the ground floor. Everyone else was upstairs. I say ground floor. It's not a mansion. It's just 1-2 floors. It's just the ground one. I realised I said that and it sounded bad. So I was sleeping downstairs, and I was half asleep. It was kind of middle of the night. And we had at the time the greatest dog in existence. He was a big black Newfoundland called Marvin, just the biggest, loveliest bear, and he was awesome. But he used to do this thing in the morning. He would come in and just look at you, and he would jump up in your bed to wake you up. And obviously, he's 14, 15 stone. He was a machine. So sometimes my door would open, and I'm like, okay, It's Marvin, not an issue, whatever. But I was lying in bed one night and I'm kind of facing the wall away from the door, and my door kind of opens and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, it's a dog, it's fine. He'll come in, he'll walk about and he'll go back out, whatever. And I heard this kind of low, kind of guttural growl. Like properly low, slow end, like not even a growl, but more of a like a rumble. But you could tell it was vocal enhanced, But so I was kind of like, maybe he's a bit annoyed at me for something. He did that, I was his chew toy essentially. Like we got him when I was just in my early teens, so I was his playmate essentially. We used to fight with each other. I used to pull him out his bed and I would get in it and then he'd pull me out his bed. You would have a laugh. But because he was a big dog, you got away with it. So I was like, all right, maybe he's just annoyed at me for something. He'll come in, have a grumble, and away he went. And then I heard a scratch, like a scratch down the wall, right above where I was. And right above where I was is a poster that I still have. You can't see it. It's actually on that wall there. I'll get it down. I'll show you at some point. But it's one of those like 3D posters. So at the front is all that like integrated straight lines that make it 3D depending on where you look at it. And the poster was scratched, but not the lines. It was scratched on the actual image on the inside of the wall. I still have it. It's still there. Michaela doesn't like it. But that was one that I woke up in the morning and I'm like, that wasn't real. Like, you wake up and you're like, I think I imagined that. And then I was looking up and I look at the poster and I'm like, no, that happened. Like, no, that happened.
That's
never
mad,
got an
man.
answer for it. Never got an answer
See,
for it.
something similar kind of happened to me, and I don't know if it's realistically a paranormal happening, but when it was Halloween one year, and I came home from trick or treating, it must have been early primary 7, maybe first year in high school. I came home and I had bunk beds, so I came home into my room, turned the light on, it lit up, and then just went out. And I'm like, what the hell? That's quite weird. And this was after me walking past the same church that was local to me, that has the daughter of Robert Burns buried in there, right? Because she married one of the Baileys from the Bailey estate, which is what brought her over this way.
Yep.
So it says in there, here lies the daughter of Robert Burns. And I think it's really cool. So I've been in plenty of times. But I walked past that church and one night it just looked very eerie, kind of like the background picture to this show. It looked very eerie and smoke pissing at the top of it. And I remember feeling very like, oh, I don't feel great. Kind of feel like something paranormal was happening, eh?
Yep.
Then I went home, turned the light on, it kind of blew and stayed dark. So I was like, oh well, turned the light off, went to bed. Then as I'm lying there, I proper feel like there's a presence. I look up and the bulb's no longer in my light. So I'm like, what? And then I'm like, the bulb was never found, mate. But how did the light turn on? The light turned on and went off, like it blew.
So where was the bulb?
Where'd the bulb go? Yeah, but the light turned on. Like the room lit up, there was a bulb, and then it just blew almost. Just disappeared.
Like
crazy, right? Now, there might be some
like
logical, scientific explanation to it, mate.
I've not got one for that. Not if the light was to go on, because even without the filament through the bulb, it would still, like, the electricity does have light to it, but not if it doesn't have the filament to go through the bulb.
Yeah.
No, I can't answer that one. But then that's nah, I can't answer that. That's
mental though, eh?
That's
got some here from the comments here. Janice says, my 21-year-old son told me when he was like 3 that my father was standing in our kitchen, but my father passed when I was 9. Oh, Janice, we're going to need a bit more than that, please.
Did he
elaborate?
Was he able to set out defining features or anything like that?
Yeah, how did he know that was your father? Give us more, Janice. Michaela Manzakova says, when we were recording an audiobook, we kept hearing a whistle in the background like someone was whistling. We have a few recordings of it. Michaela, please.
I do need to dig them out.
Get them over to us.
That's
Let's
true.
To that.
Yeah, that's true. So we one of the things that we're working on at the moment is an audiobook that is weird. It requires, we're both doing it at the same time. And there were I'd say probably 4 or 5 occasions where we were recording this, and as soon as one of us would stop talking, there's like a little gap, and then there's a clear as day whistle.
Yeah.
And again, same premise. Like, I might look like a washed out hobo, but I am professional when I need to be. So when we're doing recording, it is like soundproof. That is all done properly. And again, no external factors.
Yeah.
And we've got a few recordings of that actually. That's a very good. But I forgot about them.
Get them, mate.
Yep.
Let's hear them. Jibber Jabber Podcast says, I was sleeping on the ground floor. Daddy was in the parlour with Jeeves. J-Mac says, maybe it exploded. Were your feet bleeding? J-Mac, my feet were not bleeding. And if anything explodes in that room, trust me, I'm a size 12. Probably have been a size 12 since I was 12. Right? I would have got some glass on those bad boys, and there just wasn't. There just never was an explanation to it.
There was just never a bulb there. No, that's baffling.
It just disappeared. Absolutely disappeared.
Utterly baffling.
I don't know why I don't ever talk about that one when we spoke about paranormal stuff, and I think it's purely because I've never looked at it as really paranormal because I just assumed the bulb fell out, but it just never was there. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, you've got to twist a bulb and apply pressure for it to come out. Here's Janice giving us more, I hope. I asked him the same thing. He said his name was Larry and described him perfectly. He said they've known each other before.
Oh,
Janice, man.
Oh,
Janice.
I like that.
They've known each other before. Like, this kind of
this is getting deeper and deeper. Yeah, in what sense?
Y'all being reincarnated round here?
Well, no, because if he was reincarnated, he wouldn't have seen himself. So he can't have been.
That stuff needs to go in my MySpace. Janice.
Absolutely.
Janice, this is...
need more. Definitely need more.
What age did Janice say what age he was? When I was 9. No, so Janice's father passed when she was 9, and her son was 3 at the time. At the time. So think about it. When you're 3 years old, there's no... You say what you see. There's no filter.
There's no filter.
To be fair, though, I have asked my girls questions at several points. I've been like, did this happen? Like, hey, Rosie, did a dragon come to your room and burst through your window and try and steal you? She'll be like, yeah, it did.
Well,
so
obviously. That's awesome.
So I don't know, but hey, I think stuff like that, if he's describing the guy to a T, there's stuff to that.
But then look at what J-Mac had said about his kid. His son was able to recount these things. So, it does happen. That is quite, it does happen. So that is
scary, man. Heath Dow says, are you sure the screw or bayonet fitting wasn't still in the socket for the bulb? Although there would have been bits of bulb over the place. And then she says, The
thing is, I've we've all done it. We've all had bulbs blow as soon as you turn them on. But the bulb's still there. And even if the bulb isn't there, you can't just put another bulb in. You've got to take out the fractured fixings and all these things. So
the best way I can describe it is, imagine you turn, so I thought I turned it on, and that way when it lights up and then goes, makes that sound, right? Yep. So I thought, oh, okay, bulb's fucked. Cool. I turn the switch back off, get into my bed, right? And I'm lying there and I'm like, that's quite creepy, especially now that I feel creepy and I walk past that big creepy church. That's quite creepy, that. And I'm looking up and I'm not seeing the bulb. And I'm like, what the hell? And I look and there's no bulb there, right? There was nothing. There was nothing anywhere, right? So I don't know. Maybe within that time of me climbing up my wee stairs, somebody came in, Sonic was in and taken the bulb or something. But nah, there just wasn't. It was a dark room.
Well, the fact that you turned it on first.
That's the thing.
And there's always going to be people that'll be like, well, you actually turned it on, or you think your brain just made you think you turned it on, that's why it went bright. But no, if you turned on, you know what? If you turn on a light, you turn on a light. It's that simple.
Well, my answer to that question would be, are you sure you just asked me that question? Or are you sure you didn't just make that question up and I'm just answering you in your peripheral and all that, and the hedgehog went up the exhaust pipe and ended up in the sewers? That's what I would say to them. Like, of course I'm motherfucking sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, some things you can say, you know what? Maybe I didn't, right?
Yeah.
But there are things where you're like, no, I definitely did. Like, yes, I definitely did hand my daughter a bottle of juice and she did pour it all over my wife's car. Definitely happened. So sure of it. Felt it. It was wet. Juice bottle was empty.
Are you not learned with your kids and liquids yet?
No. Well, I have just.
Just carefully.
J Max says, "This is weird. I keep taking a breath to talk, then remember I'm not on the show." J Mac, you are still here. Just type it.
Exactly, you're still there.
For everyone at home watching, J Mac was supposed to be on the show tonight.
Yeah.
But then things changed.
Things have happened.
Circumstances out with his control, but he's still with us here in spirit anyway. And to be honest, I didn't expect him to be on the show. I kind of expect him still to be doing, mate, what are you doing in your bed at this time anyway? Get your ass down to the all-inclusive bar. Fucking, oh man. Get your
Poor excuse of an alcoholic, honestly.
Oh, guys.
Hiya.
It's always on the Paranormal Patter, eh? And I even put a lock on the door. You see that thing up there?
Aye.
But,
Never logged it though, did you?
Well, no, but you know what? Give us a second.
On you go, man. On you go. I'll just talk to myself because that's entirely
There we
plausible.
go.
I'll just
That
stick
won't
with
be
that.
happening again.
Can you bother, man?
Apologies. Unbelievable, man.
The
Unbelievable.
joys of a father, man. It's fine.
Typheron. By the way, just for a second here, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, Typheron actually followed us online, and I was like, I managed to see his picture and I had a look to see if I could recognize him. Then I actually recognized something that was on his badge, which is a local store, quite local to me. I went in to look for him, to offer him free tickets to an event that I was holding. Couldn't find him. I was like, hey, does Typheron work here? And they're like, what? Does Typheron work here? And they're like, not a clue. Show a picture of them to the staff, and they're like, I think he's been in here once or twice before. So the hunt for Typheron is still on. Typheron, my friend, I took you free tickets to an evening with an actor. It was a great night. I took you 2 free tickets there, and I don't know if they passed them on to you.
You were AWOL.
I never seen you at the event, so the chances are they never passed them on. Hey?
The chances are it's not what the guy looks like.
I don't know. I don't know.
Guy's, the guy's more elusive than Nessie. Like, we're just...
I know, right? And the other thing is, I don't even think I'm pronouncing his name right. I don't think it's Typheron or whatever. But he does say, if there was something connecting the terminal point, sent, he bulb. I think he means in the bulb. Yep. Points in the bulb. CJ Mac usually picks me up.
It would have acted as a filament and promptly burst into flame for a second, providing the light.
Right.
Yes, that's true. But again, you would have to have taken the bulb out and inserted some sort of metal filament in its place. And even if you were to remove, even if it was a bayonet and you were to remove it and not remove it all fully, it either wouldn't be enough to provide a gap linkage as a filament in principle to create the light, or if it did, it would burn and then it would fall out. So something would still have fallen out the bulb. He has a point, but again, even if that was the case, you would still find evidence of that.
Yeah, just nothing. My mum wasn't like, what's on your floor? Never stood on the hand.
Yeah, and even if there was, it would still be an issue of being able to get a bulb back in, if that's the case.
I know, but nothing like that. Typheron said, would not explain there not being a bulb there in the first place, however. So he's on it. J-Mac says, the boohoo's has more water in it than your computer, mate. Yeah. You may ask yourself, why were we not live here as normally last week, right? And we were on Clubhouse, which, by the way, I'd love to invite you all over to our Clubhouse sessions. It's actually so much fun. And J-Mac, put it this way, this is us on Clubhouse. This, ladies and gentlemen, J-Mac. And I'll just sit like this, and I'm happy to, because phenomenal. But we'll get more into that at some point.
Yeah.
The last week I had to kind of give this here PC a rest, because right above me is my bathroom, and my daughter's turned the bath on and kept it on, and the bath water flooded, and then in here was like a shower. So I was like, oh no, all my expensive equipment that I pretty much do everything I love with. Oh no. But thankfully the gods were on my side, and only my table's fucked. So I got a new table that I'll be putting in after tonight. So yeah. Janice says, He said they met in another life and stayed friends on the other side. So was your son dead before?
Oh no, man, we're going back into this medium thing of being in this alternate place and then you're
Mm.
chosen, and
Well, there might be something to that then. There might be a
there
bit more
might be,
to that.
there might. I'm not asking him, but
Hmm.
there might be. That's
You know-
I will. Mm-hmm.
I earlier I was in the shop and I was going, what will I drink tonight on the show? I thought I've got whiskey at home. Right, but I don't drink to get drunk or anything. I always drink just to enjoy it. And I walked past a bottle of Henry Weston's and I thought, should I do it just for a tribute to J-Mac? Because I'm sure by now he's sponsored by Henry Weston. Do you know if J-Mac got ran over, right? The drip would contain Weston's, and that would bring him back to life. He's a Weston.
No saline solution, just sheer Weston.
Just Weston. Was your son did a 4? Tactful Kev. What?
Did a
Was
4.
your son did a 4? Tactful Kev.
As always, you will notice that our presenters are just woeful with their mannerisms and their soft and gentle approach to life. It's just.
Do you know what's funny? See, a lot of the times when I say things, it only really becomes funny after J-Mac reminds me what I've said. That was just
He just calls you out on how awful half of the things they are.
It's true. It's true.
It's just.
It's just
outstanding, is what it is. Outstanding.
It's J-Mac again. Reminds me of the "Why are you gay" guy. Oh, I've never seen that.
No. What's that?
No, I don't think I've ever seen that. I'll need to definitely check that out.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Kieran, give us one of those proper send the shivers up your spine stories, mate. I know you've got something waiting.
I came across a couple. I'm not gonna lie, the first one is from a rather pompous source, which I'm not proud of myself.
Huh?
But it's from Reader's Digest.
Ooh, I thought you were going
know.
to say The Onion.
Oh no, I went to The Onion. It was awful. But no, it's Reader's Digest, this one. And it's just a collection of horror stories and scary stories told from kids to their parents, and then it's sent in. And this one's called The Boy with No Eyes.
Oh, I think I've heard something similar to this, but probably not.
Yeah.
But let's go for it.
I have to admit, I read through it and I was like, "Ooh, all right, okay." So, so the story goes: one night when I was 10, I was awoken by my bedroom door opening, followed by someone sitting on my bed. So that turns out this is actually sent in by Reddit user Kenmondo4.
Say that
Which is just a credible name, Kenmondo4.
Kenmondo4.
So, recalls of a childhood brush with a very persistent ghostly apparition. So, I felt my leg grazed and the bed sink under a person's weight. It's just mum, I thought, and I opened my eyes. It was not my mum. I found an eyeless boy. He had black, empty sockets, about my age, sitting on the foot of my bed. He extended his hand, and in it was a little box. I was startled, but reached out. He pulled back, and I reached out again and said, "Give it," like a 10-year-old should. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Sorry.
So, I then blinked, and when I reopened my eyes, he was gone. But I could still see the imprint where he'd sat on my bed. Fast forward 5 years, and my girlfriend came over to do homework. You're 15, don't do that. After she finished, focus! She took a nap while she waited for her parents. While they arrived, I tried waking her up. She opened her eyes suddenly, looking up at a corner where the wall met the ceiling. She pointed there and went back to sleep. I shook her again. She came to full consciousness, and I explained what she'd done. She looked haunted. Up on the wall, I saw a little boy with no eyes. He was there, in a weird Spider-Man pose, staring at me. I freaked out and told her my story about the same kid. Fast forward another 5 years. I was with the same girlfriend, and we had a 2-year-old. We were living in my parents' house in my old room. My daughter started waking up and staring at the same point throughout the night. And she'd talk. After a while, I noticed that she almost had the same conversation every night. Playfully, I asked her once who she was talking to. She said, "It's a little boy. He's nice. He's lost, but he's looking for his mummy." My daughter's nightly conversations continued until we got our own place later that year. And ended worse than I thought. But that's the start of that one. It's not as great as I remember.
No, but it still is quite creepy. Mate, let me tell you a wee story as well, right? This is not so much paranormal, but more eerie, and reasons why you shouldn't go back to someone's house after you meet them on Tinder for the first time. This lassie, I'm gonna keep it quite short. Like the full story is longer, but I'm gonna keep it quite short. Lassie meets guy, chat a wee bit on Tinder. They go out for a date. Everything seems to be going all right. She's like, "Okay, you can come back to mine." They go back to hers. She's like, started looking at me a bit weird. Something just fell off. So I asked him to sleep on the couch. He obliged. Then she went into her bed, went to sleep. And during the night, he heard a big thump. Woke up and was like, something doesn't feel right. You know that eerie feeling when you're like, something's going on in my house. She locked her bedroom door, phoned the police. The police came and says, "He's left. We're still trying to find him. He must have seen us coming. But it's best for you if you don't go out into your living room." She's like, "The fuck you mean?" She went into her living room and everything was fucking proper Dexter shrink wrapped. Mate, he was proper going to paint her fucking house.
Yeah, I've heard that story a few times.
What?
Honestly, man, I've heard that story a few times.
Crazy, man. Crazy. Janice says, "I've been watching a show called Paranormal 911, and there are some seriously scary stories. We'll need to check that out. I know Stegel loves a lot of these shows."
Yes.
J-Mac says, "Please try to play this before the show closes." J-Mac, if you could send that to me privately, please. I can't copy and paste that link from where it's at. You should know this. J-Mac laughed. And then he says, "Burn the fucking house down." Yes, in that case with the dude with the no sockets. Absolutely. And then he says, "Hi, John Fulton." Hey, are you called John Fulton? Whoa, now that's scary. Janice.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
right.
Call me old fashioned, but
yeah,
this is the reason you get to know people before inviting them into your gaff.
I think you get to know this guy, it's irrelevant. I think a majority of people are murdered by somebody they know.
That's true. Which is scary, man.
Oh, you've just gone dark. There we go. He's back.
Who's back?
Aye, your screen went off a blank.
Mine? Oh, apologies. J-Mac sent in a video for us to watch. Shall I play it now before we get to our next?
Go with it. Aye, go for it.
Right, let's go for
it.
Who
knows what it'll be? It's J-Mac saying, who knows?
I know, right? Fingers crossed. He's all seeing this, yeah?
Absolutely, man.
Okay, let's see what this is then. Let's see what this is.
One of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr.? Pepe Julian Onzima. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
Good morning.
I've seen this.
Why are you gay? You are gay. Lesbian? Homosexual? How can I describe you? As gender, you were initially male or female?
The sex that was assigned to me at birth was female.
And you opted to become male. Did you discover that you are actually meant to be male? Rights activists.
That is no filter. It's awesome.
So as we stand today, are you dating any female?
Yes, I am.
You have a girlfriend?
Yes, I do.
While in transition, you're having a girlfriend?
Yes.
Do you perform the natural obligations? Doesn't that make you gay?
What do you mean, doesn't that make me gay? I am male.
So who is gay?
Oh, that's amazing.
J-Mac says African Kev.
Just no filter. Say what you think.
Which is Sunday.
Is what he's saying. Absolutely.
That's a wee t-shirt. That.
Oh, it's
Oh
naff good.
man, I'm trying to think if there's any more personal stories of mine that have been scary. Do you know I've had I won't say visions, right? Because you never. I can't really say something's one way or the other, but
Mm.
there is most definitely a vivid image of me when I was a child. One of the youngest memories I can ever remember. It was Christmas. I was looking out the window, and the snow was falling. Right, and this was a magical time in my life when I was young. You'd see the holidays are coming, holidays are coming.
Oh,
right,
that Coke advert.
right, the tree would be lit up. You'd see the presents. Oh man, this was probably the most excited I could be as a kid. Like,
I mean,
yes,
the days Coca-Cola van used to come to Asda.
no,
Used to go to Asda and Livingston. Used to be able to go see
yeah.
it. Right.
So because I never grew up in that area, that's probably why not. But
You
that
didn't
would have
miss
been
out.
cool, man. That would have been cool. Oh, look,
You
there's
didn't miss
Craig.
out.
Craig Matthewman is in the house from sunny Spain. That's where New
Right.
York is, right?
That is, yes.
Matthewman, J-Mac and Matthewman in the same place right now. So I remember being so excited. Oh yeah, and I remember
Mhm.
very vividly someone saying she's coming tonight, and it was almost like a face came through my window, right? And I couple that with an image of me lying in my bed, and this really, I'm just going to get my screen a little bit. So I'm going to try and do the best visual representation of this woman here using my own face. Apologies, it'll not be spot on, but I'll try. Right?
Absolutely.
So she was like, like that. And she was very fucking old looking, haggy, white hair, proper stuff nightmares are made of, right?
Like the witches, kind of like proper old.
Yeah.
epic.
And it's like, mate, it's like I was looking through the bottom of the door, and you could see the light, and then you just hear this boom, 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 out of nowhere, straight through the door, like that. And I think something must have happened when I was a kid that either had me believing I'd seen that or I'd seen it. But you know what? It's just like I could be talking shite.
Thing is,
but
you've got a
definitely
sister,
feel
don't
it.
you?
A what?
You've got a sister.
Yeah.
Older,
No.
younger.
Yeah.
You could terrify your older brother. How old were you? Think you were? You say it's your younger. Well, to be fair, yeah. If she's younger than you, it's your youngest memory. That doesn't.
Mm-hmm. It's my youngest memory. So my brother would have been obviously a couple of years older than me, but
Yeah.
there's not.
Still,
he wasn't
not
there.
to make it convincing. Yeah.
Strangest thing is, mate, I always felt like there's in that memory I was alone. There was no one else. I was in a room myself, and the best it was, I wasn't sleeping in my bed. I was in a sleeping bag on the floor.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? No, I was in a house that I don't recognize. I was just in a dark space.
Ooh.
If anybody's had something similar or knows what the fuck that was, please tell me. J-Mac says, Matthew, man. Doubtfirst says, neither did I, lol. I remember it going to Asda. Ha 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 ha.
Yep.
J-Mac says, Lanzarote, mate. That's what I said, no?
I said Mallorca, but we'll let you away with it.
Same thing.
They're both owned by Spain. It's fine.
They're both on the planet.
Close enough.
J-Mac says, that's the hag from Sleep Paralysis episodes. Now, I'd like to Google that image, but I will imagine
right now.
I imagine that there's no Google image will be accurate to that, no? The
Let's find out.
hag sleep. And I'm sure J-Max told me that before. But I don't think you'll get an actual image. I can see it in my head still. That's the best it is. It's imprinted in my napper. And I never actually fully watched the episode. Nah, I'm not seeing an image that
looks
represents
convincing.
what I've seen.
The thing is, it's the content. Well, maybe.
I'm going to just write in creepy old lady and see if I get anything. If I get anything from that gives me something.
Can I send this?
No,
I cannot. Oh well, screw it.
I'm not.
There was an old hag image that I had, but it's not as. No, it's not what I'm imagining.
J-Mac says either that or a junkie looking for a can of dragon soup. Hey, I floored a junkie last night at about it depends. I'm not telling you the area that I live in, just in case the person like called the cops. Nah, I didn't. He didn't call nothing. But it was Saturday night last night. I went and took the dog out at the request of my wife. Thanks for that. At like 1:45 or whatever, I went out, right, and there's this area that I take the dog, and there's fences to the point where there's only one entrance that's also the exit. And I walk down with the dog. I'm looking at my phone as the dog's doing what she's doing, running about, no taking a pish. I'm like, come on, man, come on, time's it, man.
Never do.
And this guy walks like this, and he stops at the entrance of the wee grassy bit that I'm at, turns round and starts walking down, but slowly towards where I'm at. Right now, don't know about you, right? But then he puts his hands in his pocket, and I'm like,
nail him.
You all right, mate? I'm like, you got any issues? You want son? He never said anything, right? I walked up to him because my dog's now gone, arr, arr. And I'm like, well, even the dog's no keen on you. So
your dog knows that's it. Aye.
And as well, I'm like, first off, who the fuck does that?
Yeah.
Who the fuck does that when somebody's walking the dog? Walks like that, right? So I walked up to him and I'm like, mate, you want to start something? He said nothing. So my shoulder to his shoulder, I just went, fucko. And he hit the deck, right? Straight onto the ground. Didn't get up, right? So I was like, fuck it. And I just walked. He stayed on the ground. And as I'm walking away, I'm looking, he's still on the deck. Weird, eh? And then I phoned my wife and I'm like, see you try and make it fucking walk the dog at that time, man. I'm going to get stabbed one of these days.
Really, what's happened is some absolutely hammered geezers walked up to you. Man. He's put his hands in his pockets because he's like, well, this will look less intimidating. Come up to you to ask, one, where am I? Or how do I get home? And you've gone, nah. Happy birthday to the ground.
Mate, he went fucking down like a sack of tatties. It was so funny.
You sick bastard.
I'm just being clear here that I was just trying to get him to get out my way because he was standing right where I was trying to walk. And at fucking nearly midnight, that's some pish, mate, right? And he's lucky I didn't fucking stand on his head. Prick.
Don't do that.
Heather says, I know this is unrelated, Kev, but should I bring the cake? Get t-shirts and drop them off? Up to you, my pal. It's all in your hands, whatever you would like. If you come earlier, I'll make you a coffee. A banana coffee, your favourite. Craig Matthewman says, lol. Heather just asking me questions. Matthewman says, can't hear you guys watching some mad magic show. Is it J-Mac trying to walk in a straight line? Is that the magic? J-Mac says, that's no like you. What does he mean, what's no like me?
You
like,
start
no like
fights with
I never started. First off, wasn't it a fight? Didn't start it. It was only trying to keep myself safe. He was standing there. He had plenty of time to say something, right? He was standing there at that time of night.
When you've got no teeth, it's hard to say anything.
Staring
Excuse me, pal. Can you? Is he still there? Have you went back to check?
I went and checked this morning because I thought, what if he's dead? Do you know what? I actually came home and I goes, what if he's dead and like choking on a sick? And then I went, do you ken what? I don't give a fuck.
Aye.
I actually don't give a fuck because see folk like that can go fuck himself.
Had it been somebody else, obviously it's a bit less into it. I get that.
Aye, but mate, the way he walked, he just stopped, looked, and then walked.
You've got to
started walking towards me.
Yourself.
I put my phone, I literally put my phone away, and I'm like, no, this some John Wayne shit. The cunt's walking at me like a gunslinger. And I was like, nah, mate, you state your intentions now, you can't, or you'll have less teeth. Anyway, and the funniest thing is, I was expecting like a proper fight when I nudged him at the way, and that he just like flew like a napkin, man. Just lay there. Michaela says, was it maybe that woman from the prank video where the car is No, do you know what? I know exactly what you're talking about.
I like that video.
Class video, but I was younger. I was younger at the time, so it definitely wasn't that. Happened. Yeah, and it's no that she's me a zombie looking. This woman was just old and looked like sinister, but she didn't do anything.
Is it like the again? I realise it's that was all after it was when we growing up. The music video for Tribute, Tenacious D at the end. It's the old woman that picks up the record and does that weird kind of devil. That one,
similar, but no, she was still more terrifying. Eh? Heather Dow says, out his heed. J-Mac says, is he still there? J-Mac, no, I've confirmed he's still not there. Kev's like, there was a lot of blood, but that could have been anybody. No, it was not anybody's. It was most definitely, there was no blood. Ward, hey, Ward, nice to see you, mate. This is a fella from Twitter who runs some, what do they call them? It's essentially clubhouse rooms, and he talks about wrestling. So yeah, go definitely check that out. Go and follow him on Twitter if you like talking about wrestling. I've not had as much of a chance to tune in as much as I'd like to, but when you're twisting and spinning a billion plates, it's very hard. But I will definitely come back into the room. So anybody that wants to go and check out some good wrestling chat, go follow Ward on Twitter. Tyferon says, while I was out walking with my daughter, we had one guy walk in front of us and stop and start throwing handfuls of someone's drive stones up in the air while staring at us. We went the other way. Mate, well, we're from the same area. I hope that was him that I'm not over. I hope that was him. People can be really weird. They can. But you know what? They can be really weird the fuck away from me.
Right? The thing is, like, see... Mostly, I know we talk about paranormal stuff and you know, most of it that. Ironically enough, the most dangerous thing is actually people.
Yeah.
That is
right.
By far.
Because it's like that people are assholes and then they die and they're like assholes, but they can't do as much as an asshole, right?
Exactly. Like, I mean, I'm the same as you. Like, I don't get a lot of hassle or a lot of abuse. Like when I walk about, I just
It was probably Lewis Capaldi, says J-Mac. Unlikely, because he would have at least said, hi, Kevin. Right? No, the guy was older. Was much older than that, I believe, because his posture and all that. Just, mate, imagine he was a ghost.
Have you just sent a ghost back to hell? I just like...
To be fair, he was there until I like couldn't see him because I kept looking back, expecting him to get up and be
most things are there until you can't see them. To be honest,
aye, but I was expecting him to get up and like chase me down or something, but he was just like.
I showed you how out of it he was. Then either that or the floor was undoubtedly comfy.
Well, he kind of landed on the grassy area. It was. I kind of gave him in wrestling. For those of you that aren't aware, I used to do professional wrestling, and the whole clothesline. Like when you clothesline someone, the arm is just a prop. It's here where it's shoulder to shoulder. Now, there's a way you can do it in which if the person that you're taking down with a clothesline decides they don't want to sell that, there's a way you can do it in which you step forward and you make them do it. And that's pretty much what I've done because I thought that would be safer. Janice says there's weird and then there's evil. Hey, amen to that.
And Ward then those junkies, which is just a totally different kettle of fish.
Exactly. Ward says, do you guys know more about sleep paralyzing? I am struggling with it for 15 years now, and it's getting more and more every year. Hey, well, we spoke a little bit on sleep paralysis, but listen, J-Mac actually has more experience with that than any of us here that I believe, right?
Yeah, he does,
We shall talk about that again at length. Ward,
absolutely.
So you're aware there's another guy, the guy in the picture that's right at the front. He's usually here, but right now he's in Mallorca or something like that, New York or something, Glasgow. And, he's not here tonight. Well, he's here. He's in the comments, but you need to hear.
He's here in spirit.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what you could do to combat sleep paralysis.
The thing is, it's a lot of stress induced. It's lack of REM sleep, which is brought on by.
Listen to the expert, by the way. The floor is his. The floor is his.
I'm no an expert. I just read.
You know all about that stuff.
But basically, it's like REM sleep is the sleep that allows you to process memories and cognitive development. And without it, your brain basically goes into like hyperactive drive, which is what can cause insomnia and is a potential cause for sleep paralysis. So most of it is stress induced. So find ways to relax before bed, basically, be it meditation, a good cup of tea, a kids movie, something. I realize it sounds pathetic, but it does work. You know,
Oh, no.
I've follow a couple of people online that tell stories and stuff like that. And there's a woman that suffers with night terrors, which is along the similar sort of line as sleep paralysis. And before going to bed every night, without fail, she watches Mary Poppins because it's the only thing that calms her brain. So that's something that might
That and a spoonful of sugar.
It's definitely no sugar, man. It's definitely
Ward says, okay, no
Aye.
problem. J
Yep.
Mac, this is the
Just-
guy, this is our co-host, says, just don't sleep, then it's just paralysis. But yeah, happy to tackle it again on another show. We really should.
Absolutely.
J Mac and I, our first ever show that we've done together, which basically birthed this juggernaut of a podcast family, was when we spoke about his time and having sleep paralysis. I've had it twice, but I'm going to save that for another show. I'm going to save that. I believe to have had it twice, but
Yeah.
we'll save that for another show. He says, Ward says, but why are they like horror movies? Shadows trying to do things to me and stuff. Well,
Subconscious projections that make you live out fears. It's the same as a night terror or a nightmare. Except the thing is, it's a part of your brain that hasn't woken up yet. So the way you wake up is there's like different modes that have to wake up in sequence in order for you to wake up fully cognitive. The bit that works on motor function can sometimes delay, and when you wake up prior to that. So if your eyes are awake, your ears are awake, you know, if your senses are awake, but your motor functions are not, then you're unable to move. So therefore your body starts to panic, and that sets in fear, which kickstarts all your horror movie style projections. So that's why.
I don't mind a wee horror movie here and there.
Oh, love a horror movie, man. Love it.
I mean, if
Absolutely
I'm in
love it.
control, like I think I always.
Oh no! Oh, see,
I've had a dream or two.
A good nightmare. Oh, see that wake up in a cold sweat and you're just I love that. I love that feeling.
So I've had a dream once where I was like, I felt like I said to myself in the dream, this isn't real as a dream because it was one too good, right?
So you become lucid dreaming.
Right. But then there was another time where I was like, I'm aware I'm in a dream. And then I started cycling with no bike. I started cycling in the air because I was aware that it was a dream.
So that's what's that called?
I don't know. Is that like
lucid?
Figured it out.
Well, it's
figured it
lucid
out
dreaming.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
lucid dreaming is when you're dreaming, but you have control. And it's actually a trait for hyper intelligent people. It's people with really high IQs. Not that you don't, but anyone could develop it. But it's something that is easier to control with your IQ basis, and is basically to be playing compliment. And basically, it's something that like super geniuses use to plan and study and develop ideas while they're asleep, because basically it continues their development process.
Oh, it's J Max says started cycling with no bike. Nearly shat myself laughing there. Heather, of course, Heather. 9 times out of 10, I have lucid dreams. Right, Heather? We know you're smart. I'm kidding. Of course.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you? Janice
Yep.
says, surround yourself with white light like a shield and put yourself in a calm state of mind. I don't know about you, but a ton of white light to me, and they put me in no calm state.
No.
Typheron says, on topic 1, I was doing a network install in our new Glasgow office. That'll be why I couldn't find you in Bathgate.
Right.
Was only me and one of the company directors on site at the time. Mid-afternoon, I am checking network points, which means walking from the comms room to the point and back. I hear someone say very clearly, yes, very close to me.
Oh.
Shut up, Kieran. It's demons. Only explanation, says James.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Demons all the way. All the way.
Typheron says, though the director was talking to me. Thought the director was talking to me. So I go looking for him, and it turns out I was alone as he was out getting late lunch. Typheron says, office is in an old tenement building in Glasgow, and the floor above, below us was unoccupied at the time. And then J Max says that. Mate,
I like
that's
I like it.
Mate, more. I'm still waiting on Ty Ferron coming on this show.
Yeah, I'd love to have a proper conversation with him.
Mm-hmm.
Although considering we all live in
yeah.
close proximity, let's go grab a
I
pint
know.
and chat.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
don't even have to, if you don't want to come onto this and you don't want to be faced like on camera, just come and have a chat with us anyway.
Yeah, of course. Ward says, I can control all my dreams. Learned myself to do it that time by time. So you're
what I would suggest then at that point when you start having sleep paralysis is know that's what you're doing. And then basically, if you can control your dreams, it's the same idea. So if you start waking up and you're not fully awake, reiterate to yourself that you're not awake yet, it's still a dream, and allow your body the time to recover.
Well, put it this way. See if you see a guy with claws and you're in a boiler room. Run, bitch, run! And if you...
But don't go in a bath. That doesn't work either.
No. And if you see a guy coming at you with one big fuck off hand and it's a mad clock going down, that's Vector. Run, bitch, run! Heather Dow says, I don't think my IQ is particularly high. Ha 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 ha. Heather says, I have this thing in my dreams. If it's a bad one, like being chased by clowns, I just have to find an oak leaf and put it on my face and I can wake up. Mate, that's like back when you get stung off a wee stinging nettle, you get a doken leaf. And apparently, remember them? Remember them? Apparently, it takes a sting out. I don't know if it was just a placebo.
No, it does. It does.
Yeah,
I could explain that as well, but
yeah. Kieran, I'll let you read this one.
All right. So Michaela Manzakova said, I had a weird dream recently. The dream itself wasn't scary, and I told Kieran about it, and I had a dream. I was given a piece of paper and I was trying to read it. You know how you can't read in your dreams, which is physically impossible. You cannot read in your dreams. It took me ages to read it, and I finally made out some of the words. Saturday, the 10th of September, birthday party. When I told Kieran about it, out of curiosity, we looked at the calendar this year, and it turns out the 10th of September does actually fall on a Saturday. That is a bit bizarre. And to be fair, it's not something you look up. Like our calendar as well is not like a big, yearly one where you can see everything. It is month, flip page, month, put the page. So unless you're looking for September, you're not going to know.
Douffer says, I try to read things in my dreams, and if I can't, and it's all gibberish, then I know it's just a dream.
Yep.
Gibberish.
One of the things it's one of the things you can't do is read. Also, apparently, another one is there's no mobile phones in dreams. I remember reading a thing about that. I don't know if that's still the case, but I remember somebody telling me about that a while ago.
I remember speaking to a fella who had burst legs, right? So he was in a wheelchair. And in his dream, he still walks. In his dream, he can walk, right? It's like blind people. I wonder what a blind person who's always been blind dreams of.
So there's a guy on YouTube. I will find him and I'll send you him. He, absolutely fascinating guy. I can't remember his name, and I apologize. But basically, this guy does a whole series of answering questions, and he talks about how he describes what colors are, what he sees when he dreams, because he do still dream. Because it's an internal reflection of your subconscious. It's not what you physically see. And that's why sometimes your dreams can be things you don't understand because you don't actually know what they are and all these things. So, but this guy is absolutely fantastic. I'll find out who he is and I'll send you him because he is absolutely brilliant.
Well, let me tell you this.
You're right with that.
Let me tell you this. This is a story actually I've never told before. My dad told it to me, and it was only a year ago or something like that. So I had a nice wee old granny, right? English granny down in England, of course, right? Right, J-Mac, right. So she was, obviously, she'd kind of gone into a semi-coma or something. And her family, including my dad, were around her, talking to her, kissing her hand and saying, the long goodbye. Now, she did pass, but before she passed, she gained consciousness again. Came back and spoke, and she said, I could hear every word you were saying, just I didn't have any strength to speak to you, but I was there. Now, Now, think about that. So she was there fully when she was
So-
unable to move, and they were saying their goodbyes. And she
So
confirmed.
there's a medical phenomenon called the surge. And it's exactly what you say. It's the last lease of life before somebody passes. And there's I think there's a few potential theories as to why it happens. I don't actually know why it happens, but I know a potential reason. And one of them is the last ditch attempt to alleviate thoughts before you pass or anything like that. But yeah, it's called the surge, and it's a genuine medical documentary thing.
That's
And it's
mental.
absolutely it's crazy, utterly crazy.
It actually
You
is.
could be in a coma. Well, comas are a weird one as well, because comas tend to be the shutting down of your non-essential motor functions and non-essential bodily functions. But there's parts of you that are still ticking. And if it's a medically induced coma, usually your heart's still working, your kidneys still working, all these things. But you don't eat, you're not awake, you can't move, you don't talk. But that doesn't mean that your brain function doesn't work, because obviously that's how they measure comas, is how your brain functions and how they can fluctuate through stimulus. So your brain doesn't shut down, which is crazy considering when you come out of a coma. Some people, I mean, there have been, there's been cases and people have said when they come out of a coma, they remembered everything. And then some people come out of coma and not have a clue what's going on. But maybe that's tied in with, the surge before your grand passed, that those two tied in together meant that she was able to physically remember all of those conversations. So I don't know. That's cool. I like that.
It is
In
cool.
a really
in
a really morbid way. I've just said I like that. You told me your granddad, and I've just said I like it. Awesome.
No,
But you know what I
feel
mean.
that.
In that sense, it's that's really interesting.
It's mental, isn't it? We've got another here.
Absolutely.
Doubtfur says, I've always heard that you can only fly in dreams at the eye height unless you are on something or holding something. Well,
Not
I've
true.
flown.
Yeah, I was going to
Here's
say
another thing,
I've done
baby.
that. Yep.
Here's another thing. You ever tried to run in your dream and you can't
Oh.
run, but you turn backwards? Yeah, and then turn backwards and you can run properly. Or
yeah.
you try to scream and you can't. I had a dream once where
that's
I was trying to
horrible.
scream. Somebody was trying to take me out my bedroom. Again, when I was a kid, somebody tried to take me out my bedroom and I'm like, and they're like, and I'm just like, oh.
I've had
and
a
now,
few. To be fair, on you go. No, you go.
No, I was just saying. Now I'm just
Aye.
just more raging. See, when somebody tries to do something to me, I'm like raging straight away. Like, why are you even doing this? So I'm just like, have at you, prick.
Dick. I've had a few. I've had a few dreams like that, and there have been a few times that I've woke up and woke Michaela up as well, like just screaming.
Yeah,
Like, I have no idea why, and I wake up and she's like, "Are you all right? Where are you?" And I'm like, "What? What's going on?" Like you wake up and you're just going at it, and you don't know why. Yeah, it's weird that happens. But try and scream in a dream, and you're just like, nothing works.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's fear induced, and they all mean something. It's the same when you lose your teeth. It's about
yeah, you spit your teeth out, man. I've done that.
Is teeth to do with financial stuff? Is that what that is? I can't remember
No,
if
because
losing
I've
your
had that
teeth
as a
is to
kid.
do with money.
I think they say it's
or it's,
when
no, it's loss. It's when somebody dies usually.
no, because I thought it was to do with your self-conscious, where you're feeling self-conscious of yourself. Because I've not had money troubles as a child, but I definitely had I remember spitting my teeth out in my dreams.
Yeah.
Like, Michaela says, apparently there are no mirrors or food in dreams either. Can't say I've ever seen a mirror. Rosebank Ross, welcome to Jabber Jabber Podcast. I don't think we've experienced you on this show yet. Rosebanks Ross, that's a cool name. Says, I've experienced the not being able to read text in dreams quite a few times. Tell us more about that, Rosebank Ross. Heather Dow says, no teeth is to do with feeling out of control.
Out of control when something changes without your control. Yeah, I've just
Doubtfur. I looked that one up no long ago.
Yeah. I think
that's
a really common dream for people. Yeah.
That's
then
it's definitely something that we've all had at some point. I think Kevin Bridges even does a bit about it, which is
he
really
does,
funny.
yeah.
And he
His
says,
Faust
"Mom, I'm
thing.
trying to save you while spitting my teeth." Really, really good.
I do like Kevin Bridges.
Kevin Bridges is phenomenal.
He is.
Aye. By the way, on a related, not a non-related subject here. Anybody that follows Bobby the Barman, be prepared. Reason being is because I believe his Instagram account is currently occupied by a scammer. So I'm going to walk you through a wee story, and it's an interesting wee story, and I've got a wee something here to back up my story, which is a wee bit funny, right? But so I've had a few conversations with Bobby the Barman because we chat a little bit about a few things, trying to get events sorted, etc., etc. Now, I had to. So I contacted him. We were speaking a little bit about it on Instagram, and it kind of the conversation went dead a little bit. Right, we've got mutual friends and all this. Right, really mad what happened. So I woke up this morning to a private message from his account, which is confirmed that was him. Right, and he's like, I mean, I've prepared. I've prepared the screenshots, so I'll read it through here. Okay. For anybody that's not local to Scotland, Bobby the Barman is Gavin Mitchell. He's part of a really popular, one of the most popular TV shows, Still Game, and many other projects. So here we go. Check this out, right? So as you see here, hi, I'm contesting for an ambassadorship spot at the online influencers. Hold on till I remove Heather's comment. I will get back to the comments in a sec, guy. I can see they're all building up. Says, hi, I'm contesting for an ambassadorship spot at an online influencers program. Can you please vote for me? Straight away, alarm bells ringing. I'm like, Bobby never sends me a kiss, right?
No.
Let's go through this together, guys. Right?
Doesn't
So
seem
I'm
like
like,
the kind of guy to do that, but
right. So I'm like, so there's conversations before this, but I've not screenshotted them because it was about something else, right? So yes, mate, of course. Where can I vote? Right. So there's me kind of going, maybe I just sent a kiss because he thought that was his missus or something, right? Easily done, right? He says, I'll send you your entry link. All you have to do is screenshot it and send it back to me here. So I'll send it to my sponsor. I'm like, cool, no worries, we'll play along. I couldn't send your entry link. I'm like, okay, just connect your phone number with your IG, Instagram, and then I'll send your entry link. I'm like, okay, done. So I've connected now my phone to Instagram, which is completely safe because you can do that anytime, right?
Yep.
I just sent your entry link now. Now, what's happening here is with the minute you connect your phone to it, right, Instagram will send you a link. Not this guy, but Instagram will send you a link. Do not tap on it. Send screenshot only. And the reason he's asking me not to tap on it is because if when I tap on it, it expires, right? So that link gains me access to my Instagram.
Yep.
So they're telling me do not tap on it because that means that link will expire. Have you gotten it yet? Right? The bit forward here, chasing me up. I have, yes. Okay, take screenshot only for confirmation. I say, keep showing me an image. You're not supposed to tap on it. I says, I haven't. I screenshot it and gives me an image. Yes, send it here with me for confirmation. It just keeps coming up with this. And as we Bobby saying, dirty, rotten, stinking, scamming bastard. Look at you being judged by Bobby for using his Insta as scam photo. So, moral of the story. Anyone that is contacted by anybody asking you to do something like that, he's Bobby the Barman. He doesn't need to screenshot. He doesn't need to send screenshots. Surely it should just be a link. You follow it, you hit vote, go. And even then, find the link yourself, right? Anybody that has had that contact from Gavin Mitchell, please, A, do not follow anything, report it, and B, know that it's no Gavin Mitchell, right? It's no him. So yeah, back to the comments here.
In fact, just before we just jump onto that, on scummy, rotten bastards.
Oh well.
Apparently, there's a new thing going on now, where the degenerates of society that just need to just die and do us all a favour. I found a new method of prolonging their poor existence of life, where they are tanning windows, which for our for wider audience, tanning windows is basically breaking a window, and stealing our blue disabled badge, which grants you that's all it does, is grant you permission to park in a space. It does nothing else. But for some reason, scum of society need this more than the people that actually need the badge. So they're doing this throughout pretty much most of Scotland, as far as I'm aware. And I mention this because I've been dealing with my grand's car this weekend, who at the tail end of last week had hers broken into and stolen. And honestly, I can't actually fathom how shit a human being you have to be to want to do that to someone that actually is disabled and is probably elderly. It just infuriates me to no end. And if I find out, obviously it's all gone through the correct channels and the police are involved in all these things, but if I find anybody doing it, if I catch anyone doing it, I will personally squeeze the life out of you.
By
And
hugging
I won't
you.
stop until you've gone blue. Because I can't wrap my head around this. I can't wrap my head around how you can be that person. Like, how low must you have to stoop to think this is a good idea? And then they're selling them on. I should rephrase that as well. They're not just stealing for own game. No, they're selling them on for other people to park in a disabled bay. Like, that gets you far in life. It's just, honestly, scum. Moving on. There we go. I felt like I had to get that one out.
Amen to that, mate. It's some bullshit right there. Thingy.
Back to comments.
Aye, and then I'm going to show you the picture I found of the hag that I believe to be the closest thing that I saw from that woman.
Excellent.
I found something to be the closest. Michaela says, self-conscious is when you turn up somewhere with no trousers on. I've done that in real life.
Presentation naked. Yep, been there.
And I was conscious. In dreams, Michaela says. Aptly put. Max says, I had a dream that my teeth turned into orange peel when I was trying to talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Explain that one. I think probably because your most anticipated happenings in life, your events, like I've had dreams where I've had a big show on or something, and I've turned up ill-prepared. It's probably the worst case scenario. And I think you have an orange peel for teeth when you go to speak to Annie is just fucking typical, eh? And that's pretty much how I would explain it.
Fresh breath, though. At least it'll smell very citrusy.
Citrus. Janice Marie Faust says, the human brain is a weird thing. She's not wrong. I think
not wrong.
I mean, hey, who knows? A lot of what's going on right now may actually just be from the human brain and nothing else.
Yeah.
You know, when you actually consider, I mean, we could get deep here, but when you consider what we actually are, what life is, the whole meaning of everything, mate, yeah, he's just going to burst like a grape. Want me to show you what my
yes.
Now, bear in mind, this isn't spot on. It's the closest thing I could find.
Closest you've seen so far.
Of the woman bursting through the door and screaming in my fucking face, right? Look at this bitch. Like that, right? Like that. But imagine her eyes are fixated on you, right? And she's proper screaming, and her eyes are like, it's the eyes, man. And she's proper like, she's like, ah! It was fucking terrifying. Right?
There's genuinely only two things in the world that I'm scared of. And it's like a proper deep-seated fear. Is nuns, for reasons I don't understand, and China dolls. And she looks like a creepy China doll. And the thing that freaks me out with China dolls is the eyes. It's like, same with the paintings that follow you whenever you look. They're very cleverly done. I will not disagree with that. But China dolls terrify me. And that's what that woman's eyes looked like. So I can only imagine that as a wee kid, that running through there screaming at you.
J Max says, I'm sure she works at Londis. Janice says, wow, she's so pretty. Ain't she just? J Mac would.
Beautiful.
John Fulton said, would shit my pants, man. Hey,
absolutely.
I am telling you right now, that
Absolutely.
why is that image in my mind? I can see it right now. And I think the room I was in was in my grand's house, even though I was not in there at the time of it. I was on a sleeping bag on the floor. Very, very, very strange. Maybe it was sleep paralysis as a child. Maybe
See, you
J-Mac's right.
talk about like grand's houses. Like I used to live in my grand's house.
Yeah.
She didn't live there. She just, and I'd lived there for a while. And her next door neighbor was a lovely old lady who passed away. She was really old, like really, really old. But one of these like ridiculously independent old ladies that just never had carers. She was just entirely on her own. She just got on with things. And she died. And there was one day I was lying in my bed. And I had a flatmate, a pal of mine, called Tom, wonderful man. And he was, I thought, so I was kind of half asleep, and at that point I worked for a pub, so I was used to like ridiculously late nights and all that. So you come early in the morning, you're never quite with it. And the bedroom door opened, and a head kind of popped in, and then I went away again. I was like, all right, okay, it's just Tom checking if I'm home or if I'm up or whatever, because he's away to work. Because that's what usually happened. Usually, we'd say I'm away to work, whatever. And then I was awake at that point. I'm like, okay, there was no door, nothing, like stairs didn't move in like that. So I got up and I was like, Tom, shouting on him, nothing. Sent him a message. He hadn't been home yet. He was still at work. The door was locked. Everything was there. But somebody popped their head inside the bedroom door. And I seen them. And it was only afterwards, a long time ago afterwards, that I actually started to think about it. And it turned, I'm putting it down to being my grand's neighbour, wee old lady, who I knew, and she was lovely. I was really friendly with her, but that's who I'm putting it down to. That she popped her head in the door, and that's another one I've not been able to rationale.
To shake, mate, that's terrifying. What was the story? I heard this one years ago, that a woman went to see a medium, and she's like, tell me about my future. And the woman looks at her and she's like, oh no. She's like, okay. She says, but I need you to promise something. She's like, I'm going to write down something on a piece of paper, and you need to promise not to read this until you get home. And she's like, okay, fine. So she takes a piece of paper and writes it, gives it to her, says, you can't read this until you get home, okay? Girl's like, okay, that's fine. And I heard this story from someone who says she knew this person, right? So it was no like one of those old fables. It was something that she said she knew someone.
She knew them. Okay.
Now, this woman gets back in her car, travels home, doesn't make it home because she's involved in the car crash. She dies. And that piece of paper that was recovered from, within her belongings says, you have no future.
Oh.
So that medium would have been like, oh, I know what's about to happen when she leaves here.
I can't
Now,
tell it.
what a prick, man.
Yeah.
All right, wee Davy, man, just have a seat, right? Another 20 minutes, and then you can go home.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
See, this is what, and this is one of the, I'm not going into the whole medium argument again, but one of the things that I find potentially an issue with it, and that example actually discredits what I'm thinking, because normally I would say that there's always that suggested behavior thing. It's like saying, you do that and whatever, and somebody says to you, actually, something incredible is going to happen to you tomorrow. You're going to spend the whole day tomorrow looking for something to imagine that is your incredible feeling. So therefore, if somebody says to you, well, you have no future, well, you're going to go home depressed as shit. That's just what you're going to do. You're going to go home and paint the wall, as we've started calling it now. I'm sticking with that. This is your fault. But that's the thing. So if that's suggested behavior, but then this story actually is the opposite of that. I'm assuming she never read the paper.
It was still folded. And what was I going to say there? I lost it. It was to do with that as well.
Yeah,
I
my bad.
lost it.
I rambled.
No, it's all right. No, it's fine. I had something to say there too. John Fulton said, "Would shit my pants, man." J-Mac said, "It'll be somebody trying to make you take a PPI claim." John Fulton says, "Got off a bus 3 stops early because there was an old woman sitting across from me, staring, creepy old bastard." Hey, you should have got confirmation that she was actually sitting there. J-Mac says, "Old women and girls in horror movies scare the pumps out of me."
Yep.
Janice says, "Wow." I mean, it's a scary and poor woman paid that session only to be sent to her death. Well,
Well, not necessarily, because she was never told. So,
sent to the old death, eh?
and this is one of these things that, like, I'm a sad geek, but like, it's a big thing in like shows like Doctor Who and it's portrayed in that for popular culture, but like, for high end space time physics and and all these kind of things, there's things that are classified as fixed points in timelines that can't be changed. And it is potentially that was one of those points that was a fixed point and couldn't be changed and would have happened irrelevant of one way or another. So there was no point in telling her. And if said person is a genuine clairvoyant, a genuine medium that knows what's happened, if you are at that level where you actually know, then you would know it's a fixed point that can't be changed. So there's no point in changing it. How you then go home and rest easy that night is a different story. But that's something I'd have to rationale that one as down to potentially being a fixed point, and there was no other outcome of it.
Before we wrap up the show, Kieran, was there any other stories you had that you really wanted to?
I've got to be fair, there's a couple. There's a couple of cool ones. Yeah, I'll go with this one. This is one that actually you had sent me across.
Nice.
It's about the Mercer Williams house in Savannah, Georgia. So basically, it's the premise, and it's a bit of backstory about the house. So it's located across from Savannah, Georgia. Is this big historic Mercer Williams house, which dates back to 1860. Oh, my voice is playing back. That was weird. So it was actually, in the early 1970s, a preservationist and antiques dealer, Jim Williams, restored the home to its former glory after having several years of neglect. The house itself has seen a lot of untimely deaths over the years, including that of a 11-year-old boy named Tommy Downs, who fell off the roof in 1969. In 1981, there was also a fatal shooting of a gentleman named Danny Hansford by Williams himself, and then Williams himself when he died in the same room as Hanford less than a year after being acquitted for the guy's death. So he basically shot a guy, got away with it, and then died anyway. So karma came round heavy on that one. And if that story sounds familiar, it's because it's the premise of the book, The Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which is a book actually I've not read. I'm intrigued to find out about it, actually. So yeah, much like the rest of the city, the home was supposedly built right on top of a series of unmarked graves. Like I think every home in most of America seems to be built on top of unmarked graves, but that's what happens when you massacre an entire race.
True that, yeah.
So again, it's filled with rumors, and it's filled with potentially ghosting hauntings, and to this day, sees a lot of paranormal investigators and paranormal activity. And it's just a house that it's a beautiful, beautiful house, but it is definitely somewhere that if I get the chance, I'm pitching to go down to Georgia.
Cool.
It would be very cool. I'm going to add it to my list of places I want to go to.
We shall definitely check that out sometime when we have a big budget to move about and see all these crazy, horrible places. It does for a country that seems to have slaughtered a full race. They definitely call themselves the land of the free. Free for who?
Land of the free, built on slavery. Oh, that's a whole political debate after that. But
You'll find us talking about that in Clubhouse, where J-Mac will be starting his own channel.
The thing is, as well, is that, and I actually had a story talking about this today, and it was the thing about all of that is there's no one alive today that caused that. It's not their fault that all of that happened. So still pinning it on certain people, by all means, still do it. I'm not saying it was a horrific thing, but like, it's not. There's nobody alive today that was the cause of that. So it's hard to kind of deal with something that there's nobody to hold accountable for. And it's the whole time period was just utterly insane, utterly insane. I mean,
that's what we
not
should
that
do.
now's any better, right enough.
We should look up some ghostly stories from the slave years, because nobody was happy then, mate. So think about the tortured souls.
I've heard of some to do with actually on the ships that I need to hunt out. But I have been told some about stories on the ships of hauntings, and considering how many people died on the crossings and the ships, and people that never actually made it across, and their bodies were just chucked in the sea, or and there has to be some unbelievable stories. Tragedies like that can't go unnoticed. Like, how can one guy getting shot becomes a haunting, but massacring thousands of people? It's just like, it's fine. Which we know is not the case, because obviously all these houses that are built on burial grounds are all haunted to shit. So,
well, I'm looking forward to looking into all these crazy happenings, mate.
absolutely.
If there's anybody, well, there is. I can see you all, but with you guys watching at home, gonna send us some of the topics you'd like us to cover, even from a debate standpoint. Kieran's very good at throwing the facts out. J-Mac and I are very good at getting lost in the woods. J-Mac says, I think there should be some old money reparations paid out to the charities for ethnic minorities, like if your family has been loaded since slavery, get your wallet out. That would be something. That'd be something.
My food, my fucking food, that cost me 500 quid! Yeah!
Was that the voice of an old slave? On that note, guys, thank you for tuning in with us tonight. It's been phenomenal as always. J-Mac will be back on the next episode. We got a lot of moving parts happening behind the scenes, which are starting to calm down a little bit now. So you'll see more and more and more of the good stuff coming very, very soon. J-Mac sends his laughs. It's been a blast. Kieran, would you like to say anything to the fine folk watching?
Yeah, as always. I mean, thanks for checking us out and sending in stories and questions and stuff. Like, hoping to do a lot more going forward. I think actually, you don't even know this, Kev. Organised to get some really cool guests coming on to do some Q&As and some potential future some future work with. So it's going to, and
we're going to do live stuff as well.
Absolutely.
As soon as we get the right person, if you're from the Scotland area, and if you're in Scotland and you're fairly near where we are, and you're paranormally perfect, get in contact. Let's do something together. Let's do a live show. Let's get everybody in the same room.
Absolutely.
And as always, thank you.
You can laugh at us in person.
Exactly. You can meet us and we'll hang out, take some pictures and all that stuff. Janice says, always a pleasure to watch you lads. Janice, it's always a pleasure to have you in the comments. You always fill in the patter. That's why it's called
taking us out for across the pond.
Yeah. It's called Paranormal Patter because we just come here to banter, and you guys are just as much part of the patter as we are.
Absolutely.
Guys, it's been fantastic, and as always, thank you for tuning in and sticking with us and subscribing. You always come out for us, so we love it, and we love you guys. So have a great week, and we will see you next week. Take it easy, guys.
Thank you for listening to Paranormal Patter with Kev, J-Mac and Kieran, in association with Jibber Jabber Podcast. You can watch future episodes live on Facebook Live and on YouTube. You can also catch up on our previous episodes on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Spotify and any available podcast database. Don't forget to check out our website at www.jibberjabberpodcast.com. Good night and sleep tight.
Yeah!